Stories most affecting Abbotsford this week. A survey on what you want to see in Highway 1 expansion. There is a new top cop in Abbotsford. Meanwhile, Abbotsford police are dealing with a shots fired call on Nicola. And a local wrestler will be in the world spotlight. Gavin Parks will have that in sports. Our guest this week includes Alex Mitchell, who is the CEO of the Abbotsford Chamber of Commerce. All right, Abbotsford, let's get started. According to a provincial media release, people traveling in the Fraser Valley will, quote, benefit from a wider Highway 1, better cross-highway connections, and more sustainable transportation options with proposed improvements between 264 and Highway 11. Well, you can comment on this survey. While the focus will be on Highway 1 expansion, HOV lanes, and, of course, transit, it once again doesn't address the traffic concerns all the way to Chilliwack. Abbotsford Police Board announced the appointment of Colin Watson as the new Chief Constable for the Abbotsford Police Department. Chief Designate Watson will assume the role from the retiring Chief, Mike Sir. That'll happen November the 15th. Watson comes from the Victoria Police Department, where he has served there for the past 26 years. Abbotsford Chamber of Commerce CEO Alex Mitchell has had a rather busy 18 months. She went from being the PR voice for the city of Abbotsford to a prospective council candidate, plus to becoming the CEO of the Chamber of Commerce. On top of all that, she made the list for the annual BC Business Top 30 Under 30 for her leadership and commitment to community impact. Oh, and by the way, she just got married. We spoke with Alex Mitchell, and that interview is coming up in just a few minutes' time. Early last Saturday morning, Abbotsford PD responding to a report of a caller having heard gunshots, in the 3700 block of Nicola Street. Abbey PD found what appeared to be bullet holes in an unoccupied parked vehicle with the shell casings nearby on the ground. No evidence was located at the scene to suggest anyone was hit by the bullets. The owner of the vehicle has been contacted by police and is cooperating with officers. If you have any information or dash cam footage, you're asked to contact Abbey PD. Last Friday, the Fraser Valley Regional District posted a drought advisory notification for all the areas from A to H. It's an unprecedented drought and fire season right across the province. Natural waterways are having below average water and reduced water volume. Many creeks are simply drying up. The province is encouraging proactive water conservation measures. The Abbotsford Mission Water and Sewer Commission are now at Stage 3 water restrictions, and that's on until Halloween. So basically, you can't water your lawn. The Abbotsford and Mission City websites have more details if you need them. BC Transit is back to full service. The buses hit the road on holiday Monday, and the entire Valley service is free for the month of August. This after the 124-day strike that created traffic problems and chaos, and then some people lost their jobs. They just could not find an economical way to get to work. Plus, there is free transit to this weekend's Abbotsford Air Show. After the break, our conversation with the Abbotsford Chamber CEO Alex Mitchell and an Abbotsford wrestler will be on the world stage. Gavin Parks will have more in sports. This Week in Abbotsford continues with somebody whose name you've heard and who's in the last 2 years, Alex Mitchell, you have gone from being the PR voice of the city of Abbotsford to a council candidate to now you are the CEO of the Abbotsford Chamber of Commerce. You've just been appointed, what is it, top 30 under 30 for business in business in BC. Oh, and by the way, she got married. So
it's been busy.
Yeah, it's been kind of quiet. When it comes to the Abbotsford Chamber of Commerce, and we'll get to the obvious Highway 1 survey in just a moment, what does the Chamber do? Because the city of Abbotsford has been doing one of these. They had this 200K promotion for the longest time. Then COVID hit, kind of quietened down. Are you kind of working towards that again? Abbotsford 200K, and where are we going to take that from here with the Abbotsford Chamber of Commerce?
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks so much for having me. This is great to chat.
Yeah.
So when it comes to the Abbotsford Chamber of Commerce, we're actually 110 years old as an organization. We've been doing the work of supporting businesses in the community for this 110 years. And so we get to celebrate that this year, which is really exciting. And ultimately, when it comes down to the Chamber of Commerce, we have a really critical role in supporting the growth, the retention, and the expansion of businesses in our community. And so we do that in a few ways. We do that through advocacy, really trying to make sure that the voices of our members and our businesses are heard at every level of government in this country. We also work to provide benefits and, a value of being a part of the network, and then also connections, the opportunity for business owners to meet each other, to get to know what they're all about, and to find those business networking opportunities so they can actually do business with each other. And so we have a lot of great events that focus on that. So that's what we do in a nutshell. But at the end of the day, it really is about service to the community and service to businesses. And we really are the voice of business in Abbotsford. And so as the community continues to grow and as we continue to see more and more people starting businesses, flexing their entrepreneurial muscles, we're there every step of the way to support them in doing that.
And for those who don't know, Alex wasn't just dropped in. You're born and bred Abby.
Well, I mean, it's maybe my little secret, but I was born in Alberta, so please don't hold that against me.
We won't say anything.
No, but I grew up in Abbotsford, so Abbotsford's home, and I've had the opportunity to be able to work around the world and in lots of different markets, and the chance to come back once again to Abbotsford and to get to make a difference at the local level in my community, because this is my community, there's really no better honor than that. It's been really, really incredible to get to come back home to Abbotsford. One
of the skills I'm sure you've been able to transfer when you were doing PR for the city is now with the chamber and then the business after business and those connections. Is Abbotsford at a point where it's growing too fast, or are you being able to not hold the reins in, but there's been a couple of major things that have gone down the road to Chilliwack. There have been some people in Abbotsford going, we should have gotten the Molsons, or we should have. But you have a city that is just booming again. You seem to have come through COVID okay. Is that a fair assessment, or are there still some growing pains that are still lingering for over the last couple of years?
There are absolutely some growing pains. When you have such strong economic activity and strong economic growth, there's things that have to catch up, and we continue to play catch up, specifically around infrastructure, transportation infrastructure. Again, you mentioned Highway 1, that's a big one, but also, the impact of the floods really taught us how critical that infrastructure is around flood mitigation. And so there are a lot of those key pieces that are really, really necessary for us to see investments from senior levels of government back into our community to support the business owners and the residents that are doing great work, that are trying to operate and still, in many cases, trying to recover. And when I think about recovery specifically, Abbotsford, really did weather some of the storms of COVID, specifically because of our strong agricultural roots. Those industries were a little bit more resilient, but then they got really hit hard with the floods. But it really is, it's an amazing thing about Abbotsford because we have such a diversity of industries, that strong agricultural foundation, but then so much innovation that's happening in advanced manufacturing, in the creative industry, whether that's marketing firms and videography, and some new more innovative companies that are really pushing the envelope on technology. So it really is that diversity that adds to our economic base. And yes, there are always growing pains when it comes to strong economic activity, but making sure that we can continue to do the work as a chamber of advocating. Sometimes it's to local government around more efficient permitting, more private sector-led approaches to economic development. All of these things are a really critical way that the Chamber can have a voice in support of the businesses that we work.
Something you did touch on that we've noticed throughout the Fraser Valley, there's some of the film industry, the Canadian film industry, is still out there. The American stuff, like the Hallmark and that, is not happening because of the strike down in LA. Has it been basically a punch in the mouth to Abbotsford for what's happened in Los Angeles and with Hollywood, or has there been a fill-in from Netflix Canada and other Canadian?
So the film sector specifically, I think over the last little while in Abbotsford, there are a few zones that have become really hot. Historic downtown Abbotsford is one of them. And so, with that sector, there's great economic benefit that comes in from that investment and spending from outside of the community. But it can also wear on the community too. So I think some of those areas have had to navigate that cautiously. The numbers are still pretty strong though in terms of local filming, and it's something for me growing up. I grew up doing some film sector work as a kid, so lots of on-screen stuff, and it's great to see some of those jobs coming to the Fraser Valley, and increasingly we see more and more people employed in that sector living out in the Fraser Valley, which is exciting, because then we move some of that activity from Metro Vancouver into our communities.
Gotta ask you, because your name was on it, and it's was it a general statement from all the chambers of commerce when it comes to this survey from the province, Highway 1, expansion of the highway from 264 to Highway 11? Is that doable? Is that feasible? Because we were talking about the floods. Well, that stretch of Highway 1 to at Highway 11 where it intersects, and there's the border, was it undermined because of the floods, or is there work being done, and how long is this going to take if they have to do any repairing?
Well, we're really encouraged by some of the decisions from the province when it comes to prioritizing Highway 1, and frankly, I think it's been long overdue for this to be front and center. And so, encourage all business owners and residents to actually participate in the public engagement process that the province has initiated. But we'll cautiously say that, I think for many people that live south of the Fraser, the province may not be surprised by the feedback that they hear, which is build it now. We should have built it yesterday, and we need to actually see that infrastructure widen all the way through Chilliwack, and it is long overdue. So the key piece that we've tried to do as a group of chambers from the Fraser Valley is come together and say, this matters, and come together with a united voice to say this needs to be prioritized. It needs to be prioritized right away. And if there's work that the province can start doing in this time frame right now, whether that's pre-fill, whether that's any of the initial work that they can do to get this going faster, we really want to see that. And the other piece that we want to see is we want to see a commitment from government to fund this. Long-term funding commitments are critical, and it takes time to build this kind of infrastructure. So unless we actually see government making that commitment for that funding mechanism into the future, we feel a little less optimistic about it happening quickly.
And rapid transit, the SkyTrain eventually will go to Langley. What about light rail? I know there's plenty of talk, build something to Abbotsford. Really, the only, quote, rapid transit is the 66, the Fraser Valley Express, to hook up in Coquitlam. But all you need is one accident, and that bus ain't going anywhere. Is there any glimmer of hope down the road for something, either light rail? I know Rick Green will be watching with his crew, or SkyTrain to Abbotsford. I can't see that happening, but stranger things have happened. Your ears to the ground. Anything on that, or is this, hi? Can we please, sir? Can we have some more?
Well, I think any type of long-term investment requires government being able to set that funding aside. And so we've been pretty unequivocal in that the growth of our regions, as the Fraser Valley, requires transportation connectivity. And that is through the highway, but that is also through rapid transportation. That's the future that we need to be investing in. And so not only do we need to see the highway widening and an increased space availability for trucking, for example, we also need to see rapid transit be a part of that. That is how, that's our sustainable way to move people between regions. And, whether or not the province sets aside those funds right away, we already know that the business case is there because growth is here.
Yeah.
And not building that into future planning would be a real miss.
Okay. Alex Mitchell, the CEO of the Abbotsford Chamber of Commerce, you're always welcome here.
Thanks so much. It's great to be here.
Hey, you're welcome. And you're watching This Week in Abbotsford.
Hey, I'm Gavin, and this is sports. The Vancouver Island Raiders were at McLeod Stadium in Langley last week, where the Rams won 54-3. The Rams, who are 1-1 now, have the bye and will be on the road in 2 weeks, August 19th, at the Apple Bowl in Kelowna to face the Okanagan Sun. The PJHL announced the approval of a new franchise for the Sunshine Coast, set to begin play in the 2024-25 season. While the new franchise is yet to decide on a team name, the club will play out of the Gibsons and Area Community Center. This past season, the PJHL was hosted by the Sunshine Coast Junior Hockey Society on 2 occasions for 4 regular season games to sell out crowds. That means an extra road trip for the Abbotsford Pilots and Mission City Outlaws. Wrestling Canada and Canadian Olympic Committee have announced Canada's wrestling team to compete at the Santiago 2023 Pan American Game. Team Canada's wrestlers include Nishon Rondawa of Abbotsford. The wrestling events will take place November 1st to 4th. Mission Raceway Mopac Street Legals return on Friday at the track. Over 200 street legals start at 5 p.m. and usually run till 10 to 11 p.m., weather dependent. And after the break, Cari with the weather.
abbyTV weekend weather. So, Cari, it's another hot and steamy weekend.
Thanks, Don. The weather this week is going to be awesome again. Look at those highs and going down to 18 in the lows. And look at by next Wednesday, we're back up into the 30s. That's going to be amazing. A lot of fun stuff going on in the Valley this weekend. Chilliwack Mural Festival celebrating 3rd anniversary. Abbotsford Air Show is going to be 62 this year. And the Chilliwack Fair is 151. And the city of Chilliwack's only 150. Figure that out. Fun fact, me and my husband are also celebrating our 33rd wedding anniversary. Happy anniversary, honey. Have a great week, everyone.
Thanks, Cari, and thank you for watching. If you have a local story that you want us to report on, just send us a note to news@chilltv.ca. Send us your pictures and your video as well. Thanks for watching. Have yourself a great weekend. Remember, you do need to have reserved tickets for the Abbotsford Air Show. Enjoy. I'm Don Lehn.